and welcome to the DLC story of Little Nightmares, titled Secrets of the Moor. It was a 3-piece DLC set of mini episodes following this child known as the Runaway Kid, of what was going on at the same time as Six was making her escape or navigation through the moor, starting just before Six started her adventure and ending somewhere in between. I actually really like these DLCs, I'll say that right now. I'm just going to jump ahead on that one and immediately just kind of make a point of saying the DLC is the best content of the game. And it's always like, I always say that with like a piece of hesitancy in my mind, because I'm always a bit like, well, it should have been in the main game. If your best content isn't what's going to be on the disc, like, I don't know, I always have mixed feelings about that idea. Like, I'm always glad that, like, the new content that comes to a game is excellent and enjoyable. But looking at the release schedule of this DLC didn't come out too much later, I don't think. I might be mistaken on that, and if that's the case, then whoops, my bad. My point here is kind of invalid. But if it is as soon as it seems to be, then this should have been in the main game. Especially because it elaborates on a point, and it has a good plot twist near the end that I think actually ends up helping the main story. Like, what I think they should have done instead is have it there intervals between the two characters. Because they could have set up a much more evil twist. And I'll explain it when we get to the other side of this. But this opening section, you're just going back through level 1 of Six's story backwards. But Six hasn't actually left to start her navigation through the moor yet. So we're literally just before she started her adventure as we navigate through. So don't expect to bump into her directly anytime soon. But the first piece of it is called the Depths. And you're going to be getting a good understanding of why it's called that very shortly, as we work our way back through it. The power's not even on yet in here. But this DLC, you're going to see me go through it a lot quicker than I probably did the main game, just because it's a lot fresher on my mind. What I mean is, the main adventure I played when it came out at launch years ago, played it a few times, 100%ed it, and then didn't play it again until I recorded for this Let's Play. I had never touched the DLC, I brought it during the Let's Play and played it over the weekend just gone. So it was literally 2 days ago before I recorded this. I did a full run through and 100%ed this. In the back over there on that sink, you see that bottle? I'm going to be showing where all of them are, at least looking in their direction, but I won't necessarily be going out of my way to nab all of them, understand that now. Why I'm explaining this is because they're your collectible of this. There are 5 bottles in each piece of the DLC, and you just need to go up to them and grab them with R2. Some of them are a bit more complicated than others, but most of them are kind of on the path as you go. You just got to kind of pay attention to your side as you go. Sort of like when you're looking for the gnomes or bottles in the main game, where they're not completely out of the way, but they're just a little bit out of the way. But as you go through here, they'll notice that there was a drain pipe that was open that usually isn't. If you try and go any further to the left, it's all locked doors, so you have to drop down here into the depths below. Which introduces that there is actually swimming. They made a swimming animation, and by Jove, they're going to make sure you swim a lot in this to show off the swimming animation that they made. But then to say that, I'd be the same. If you make an animation, you want to use it, right? And what's also more interesting, and I have a criticism with this flashlight, but I'll get to that more later, is instead of having a lighter, you get this flashlight. And it is manipulated by the right stick, but it is worth mentioning that how it is manipulated is dependent on your character position. If you press left, he won't, the Runaway Kid won't face it westward, he will face it to his left. If you press right, it will face it to his right. But what ends up making it slightly awkward is that if the character is directly facing the screen, they flip that so that it's more accurate to you. So it's more your left and your right, even though it's the kid's right that is when you hold left and the kid's left when you hold right. So don't be surprised there's a couple instances where you try and point it at something and you end up pointing it at something wrong. Also, they made the leashes a threat, which is another reason why I kind of wish this was a part of the main game, because the leashes felt wasted in the original. Like, if you had started with the first episode of 6, like the first chapter of 6, and then when as 6 went into level 2, you did level 1 of this character, and maybe level 2 of this character as well, and then into 6 is level 2, and 6 is level 3, then this character's level 3, and then 6 is level 4 and 5. They could have made that flow work, and just made it just that bit longer of a game. Whilst I think as well, one of the twists of 6's story would end up gaining a lot more impact that it just didn't have until you get it retroactively through this DLC. Which I'll also explain when we get to it, but I don't want to spoil anything because I was actually really impressed a lot more about this DLC than I was about the main game. Because as you know, one of my biggest criticisms of the main game is how it handles mystery by just not telling you anything. And a mystery that gives you absolutely nothing to go on is not a mystery worth exploring and ends up hurting it. But this is the introduction of your enemy in here. You can see it moving in the water already. Don't hang around. You can't sprint swim, so holding square or X if you're on Xbox doesn't do anything. So just push and get out. If you're lucky, or I say lucky, you don't necessarily want to be lucky to see evil, but if you're quick on it, sometimes you can catch what it is in the water if you immediately turn around and shine your flashlight on it. But that's your introduction to your main enemy here, and we will be dealing with that thing as time goes on. But entering this challenge, I like this challenge as well because it's a fair difficulty. Like, it's something that can catch you out if you're not sure. There's a whole pile of leeches there. You throw something at them, it awakens them all. Leeches, as you've been noticed now, are far faster when they touch water. So you've got to try and lure them around to try and get into that pipe. The only thing about this challenge that might catch you out is that there's a tendency for one lone leech to hang around, to just kind of linger. So if you try and do a short circle, you'll run straight into that last one and it will just get you. So go wide, give it a really wide berth as you go around, and try and like stutter step a little bit if you can. Like, don't always just hold sprint. As we drop into here. Right, the collectible that you can get from this section, I severely overcomplicated it for myself. I managed to get it, and then it was when I was leaving, I was like, oh, I could have just done that. Because as you can see, there's a giant hole in the side there. The water level we're going to be able to adjust, but there's a collectible in the next area that can only be reached if the water is low. So what I thought you had to do, well, once you activate it, you need to go over to the left here and then just jump here and pull the switch. What I thought you had to do is fill the water to the top, flip the switch to drop it, and then dive and try and squeeze through just before it empties too low for you to squeeze through. Like, you can push this all the way round to lift the water. I thought you had to take it right to the very top, and then when it goes down, in the small time gap you have, try and squeeze through. No, there's a pipe right underneath it. Raise it up just high enough to the pipe, and although it's a little finicky, you can climb straight in. That's what they expect you to do to be able to get that bottle. Because if you go in when the water level's higher, you can't dive under that bit to reach it. You have to go in when it's low. So I was putting it to max, and then because it drains slightly slowly, pulling it and mad dash sprinting and diving and just barely trying to get through. It took me like half an hour, but I actually did it. I managed to do that. And it was, like I said, literally as you do it, you can't get out back through that big hole because the water level's too low for you to reach it. So you go, okay, and you start looking around, and then I found the pipe and just went, oh god damn it. Because you can see it floating in the water in the background. The reason why I'm not collecting the bottles is because this is on my main save. I'm just doing episode select, so I actually have already collected them, which is why there's nothing in the bottles. Because there's usually like a little tissue at the top of the bottle, and and then he said homeless kid. Then that's not what he is. He's the runaway kid. Even though technically he doesn't have a home, so I'm not incorrect. It's not what he's called. But the runaway kid will pull it off and pull out a message in it, and then pocket it, and then that's the collectible registered. Back in this section, there is another denizen of the water, or the depth swimmer creepy things, because they are creepy. They're probably my least favourite enemy in terms of unsettlement in the game. And I say that, I know I made the point of saying in the first game that I don't think this game's scary, and I still stand by that. It's got great atmosphere, and it knows how to raise tension and be creepy, but I don't think it's I hesitate to call it a horror. It's just a creepy puzzle game. But these things are the closest thing to earning that horror, because they do unsettle me a little bit too much. Oh, don't want to fall in. I just want to show you the third bottle's here. It's just a jump over here. There it is. That's not going to distract it at all, is it? Oh, why'd you spawn right there? I thought you spawned more to the left. I'm going to die here. I'm absolutely going to not reach that box. Yep. Alright, worth remembering. The thing moves to the right. So it's literally there. That is so cheeky. Well, that was a cheap death that didn't need to be avoided. Thankfully, there's no hard to the core trophy or anything. They learned, because I think everyone critiqued that trophy for being a bit bullshitty. And so there is no such trophy for the DLCs, and I've been told there isn't one for Little Nightmares 2. And I will play Little Nightmares 2 eventually. I know I keep on wording it as in like there's other things I'm interested in right now, if I'm honest. When you go to pull this up, the Creature of the Deep, just what I'm going to call it for now. Or the Creature of the Depths, to be more accurate, will hold onto it, so you just got to keep on pulling till it gives it up. And then you get introduced to a mechanic I wish they did a little bit more with, but I understand DLC is only going to be so long, so I don't mind what they did with it. If you find like fish or bread or anything that can constitute as food, you can throw it to distract the Creature of the Depths to make these longer distances. Because you wouldn't make this without it, because you're going to see it's going to gain on us pretty quick. Look how close it got. It nearly touched us. The missable trophy is in here though. Over here there is a big ball-like thing that you can pick up. Try and throw it into that bucket. The positioning is awkward as heck, so it will take you a few tries. But it's actually the only trophy I'm missing from this DLC, so I am going to try and get it. Because it's another thing of just my unfortunateness. I actually tried to get it in because I didn't know what to do in this room and got bored. I'll show you what you're supposed to do. I just missed it when I was going through it and got stuck here for a while. There we go. So in my boredom of trying to work it out, I was trying to throw it in but couldn't get it, assumed you couldn't, and then moved on. And then later on when I was like, oh, I missed a trophy, I looked it up and it said, yeah, throw that in there. I was like, god damn it, I was so close. But the bit I got stuck was here. I didn't know what you're supposed to do to open the door. But if you slightly step on that wood, I completely missed this when I first went on it and got stuck. But if you stand on the wood, it will tilt her, so you can try and make... Oh, be careful. Good old depth perception working its wonders again. Good thing there's still no frame of reference for this shit. Oh. Well, it's like the camera will shift its focus so you're not going completely straight right, and then not give you a frame of reference to know which direction you should be pushing. It's genuinely something that winds me up the more I play it. Like, I do enjoy this game, but there's so many little things it could do better. Like, it's not just a little indie game that could, and so you should love it for what it is. Nothing is immune to criticism, because you should always want to see it get better. But is this just one of those things that always just was most noticeable to me, is that the platforming is awkward because you don't know what to work with. I just didn't have the word for it until I saw Yahtzee's Zero Punctuation video on the sequel, where he says that he talks about that there's no frame of reference for the platforming, which also worries me because it tells me they didn't learn anything of the sequel if he was criticizing it in the sequel. But I'll make my own judgment call on that when I get to it. Be wary going in here. If you're quick and push it in, you can grab the key and move out before the leech it spawns in properly. Even though it's visually there, it doesn't activate straight away. But I just couldn't get the grab prompt. Where is... Oh, I see it. I see it. The leech is on it. Yeah, it just nudged the key a little bit too far this direction, so I need it to come away. It's a good thing this isn't too wet for it to start zipping, because that would be annoying to try and get the key whilst dealing with a zipping leech. A little zoomer. Actually, I say that, I think you'd be too slow. Even if you made lots of distance, I don't think that'd be possible, so I'll take that back. Of course they weren't going to make a zipping leech going across the water. Alright, the next section. It's introducing that there is an electric power circuit going on through here, which is important to keep a reminder of for later. So, lower the water so the power line doesn't touch it, so the water's now safe for you to touch. Even though, technically, in real life, a circuit that would be in the water would carry on for a little while longer than this, so we would I don't know if we would die from it, but we'd certainly feel something touching it, you know? Like, there'd still be a lot of surface static wandering around that wouldn't be safe to touch, but video game be video game. Move this over here. Climb up the girders that let the water go when the game wants to let you, please. Thank you. And raise the water and start platforming. If you're worried about your jump and you don't know it'll be safe, make the jump immediately. Because you can get across most of it before the thing touches, like before the cord touches the water and fries it again. So you can do most of the work before you're in danger. Mind that giant hole that's just there for some reason that will kill you as we enter the next section. And oh, you can see him now. This is what I mean. It's just some creepy old dude who lives in the water. Who developed gills from whatever is corrupting this world. And so it's just literally just some creepy old man hand trying to grab you wherever you go. And that's why it ended up unsettling me, because it's just some old dude trying to grab you. There is more fish tucked away over here that's easy to miss. So throw that this way before you try and make the next movement, otherwise you sure as shit won't make it. And wait for it to move too, because if you splash in too close, it will notice. Like, it's already given up on the food and is coming towards us. It didn't go get it. Now it's going back for the food, now we've jumped away. Now it's just taken the food, so we've got to really kind of get a move on now. But you can swing on this as well. Which on my first playthrough I didn't. Because I was so quick to jump in, it didn't go for the food. So when it was going for the food, I just made the swim and just barely made it before it got to me. But this is a long jump. This is risky. Especially because this wood is not stable. It's just loose planks. You want to try and get on the barrels. You said you want to try and get on the barrels. The barrels you're kind of safe on, so you can linger for a second. The box you're not. Anything wooden, assume you're not safe on. Because if you're on it for too long, the creature of the depths will whack it. Like that. To knock you off. That jump makes me nervous. The way it's in the shadow and whatnot, I always feel like I'm going to get it wrong. Now, this, you can actually kind of nudge this boat to straighten it out, which is what I did, but I don't think you're expected to do it. Like, there is something that looks like a ladder there, but I don't think that is actually a ladder you can grab to get around this. As nice as it would be to say it was. So you think you just got to make the leap, swim, and pray. Yeah, we're safe. And then we're done with that section for now. We can climb up here, and there is your fourth bottle is behind us. You jump over here, it's literally across the way. Slightly to the left. Can you see it? It's like right in the back left corner. I don't know how YouTube compression would do it, but follow the back of that pipe there around to reach it. Oh, nearly missed my jump. So I don't know how much YouTube compression will make things dark. There's a section, I think, in part 3 of the DLC that's nigh on pitch black for me, so I can only imagine it straight up will be pitch black for you. So I have to be extremely descriptive of where I'm going and feeling my way around as we go. But that's the third part of this. Keeping up with the same tradition of the main Let's Play, it's going to be one level apart. But unlike the main game, I don't think any of the parts are particularly short. So we should be good. There we go. Lower the water because we've got a few things to move, because the crank, you can't throw the crank onto that ledge from here. At least I don't think you can. You got to pick it up and put it on the box, like so. I'm surprised I got that on the first try. It took me like 4 it went on my blind playthrough. Yank this over here so you can collect it when you raise the water. And now when you raise the water and you collect it, you do need to be able to get to the other side quickly, so this box needs to be around the middle of the water. What I'm going to say to this though is that you don't need to lower the water level again to pull it to somewhere near the middle to try it. If you, hang on, leave that for a second, it's just going to rotate back. If you jump on it on one side, or jump in the water and just nudge it, you can absolutely push it without having to go down, and it's just quicker. So find it around about the middle, and then get ready to open the door and book it. Because this door drops quick, And you have to, if you like touch the water or stop to swim or have to climb up something, you're not going to make it. So book it, jump, jump, and through. That's what I mean. You have to be that kind of quick about it, because look how quickly it closed behind us. I'll do say that I know I was talking about later as pitch black, but this is pretty dark. But it's easy enough to kind of see where you got to go, because the flashlight is almost always pointing at what you're looking for. And this door is cracked, so it can be broken open. But when you break it open, it drops you into water, and the old dude hears you sitting in the chair is now coming for you again. The old dude will now grab pretty much everything you touch, if it is touching the water. So like that hook is fine, but you see how he was pulling that down so he couldn't hang around. So get a good distance and swim over here. And now it's going to be a small mixture of everything we have learnt, because we did an electric based puzzle, so we're going to be electrocuting parts of the water to try and make progress. We've got stuff that we can move to give ourselves more breathing room, and we're going to be pushing stuff like we pushed that box, which, although is simple in concept of how I've worded it, I like the idea of just here's a bunch of little things and then we're going to put it together in the final room and let you work it out. Because it makes it a fun puzzle, because you've got all the pieces and the game's not treating you like an idiot. It's like, well, you've already done pieces of this, so now try it all together. But putting this will raise the water level, allowing you to reach another platform at the cost of the thing will rip the platform down. If you want to be quick about it, the moment you pull the switch, let go and you can sprint off and jump off that ledge just before the creature pulls it off. Like just where he breaks it, so you get a bit more room to go over here. As soon as you climb this though, you need to stop pushing that TV, because you have a very limited amount of time before you're in danger. Because the power's on, so the TV will drop in as well and electrocute it, so you just gotta push and hope you're quick enough. There we go. Because if he had successfully pulled out that pole that he had just grabbed onto, the entire ledge would have collapsed and you would have been fried with the TV. Oh, whoops. It looked like I tripped as I touched it. But that deals with the creature of the depths. As we work our way through and hop through here. Now your last bottle of the DLC should be just here. And if you do this, well, you would have got you'll have all the trophies for this first DLC when you're done. Because you would have thrown the thing in the bucket, you would have got the 5 of these, and you get a trophy for beating it. There's only 3 trophies per DLC. And that's a universal rule. The second only has 3 and the third only has 3. I think the second has the hardest trophy of the lot, which I'll explain when we get to it tomorrow. But there is a formula that it just sticks with. But as you climb up here, you'll be finishing up the DLC, so I am going to say farewell for now. So next time on Little Nightmare Secrets of the Maw, we're going to be going to a giant furnace machine assembly hall, which I'll see you then. Take care.